Is pain in life really necessary? What does it do for us? Well, pain shows us where we need to look in life. It's definitely a motivator. In many cases, addressing your state of mind is crucial for healing. Find out why on today's show. Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Hello, welcome everybody. I am so excited you are here.
Sandy means that every single week. This is another half hour of us eavesdropping on the very personal communication between the spirit world and you on your earth journey. That's why we focus on dreams. If you want to know what you're meant to be doing in your life right now at this very moment in time, then look no further than your dreams. Your dreams are always going to show you that the obstacle is not in the way, it is the way. To get your dream analyzed on our show, go to dream-analysis.com/podcast, fill in the form that's there, or simply email radioshow@dream-analysis.com. That's all you have to do. And everybody who writes to the show gets a reply from the show. Sandy, anything to talk about?
Yes, I'm excited about today's dreams and kind of the theme that we're going to have running through for today. And the first one is titled Purple Elephant. Love the name. And that's from Tracy. I noticed something hard sticking out of my arm. I look closer and I see that it's almost like a large splinter, but it is transparent purple. I pinch it between my fingers and try to yank it out. I pull and pull on it until finally it comes out. A life-size purple elephant. There you go, Michael. Woo!
So it's always fun because we've covered all these symbols in the past. We know what they are. A splinter is something that gets under your skin, so that we know this is about something getting under your skin. We also know that elephants are about pretending to have a thick skin, and when you don't. You're sensitive, but you don't want to let anybody know that you're sensitive. And so when I saw this, it's like, okay, how do we put all this together? And purple here in this context is about responsibility. So I've got to deal with this fact that in the dreamer's case, Tracy is working on cutting the ties that bind with mom. So she's healing issues around mom. And so her dreams have hit the point where everything is talking about those issues. And so I asked her, did mom complain about her being too sensitive? So if we take the elephants, meaning that you're sensitive but pretend not to be, then the splinter is that somebody used the fact that you're sensitive to get under your skin. And we know that this is mom. So I said, would mom complain about you being too sensitive? And that was a mic drop question for her. So that's really what it's about. The dreamer having to suffer a mom who complains about them being sensitive.
I know how that is. I had a similar mom. But I love the color purple. That is so cool. And it was a life-size purple elephant finally coming out of her arm.
Yes, so
it's huge.
Yeah, it's a big thing. It's not like the small little splinter. So it's like, I'm pretending like this doesn't really get to me, but it's huge. It really does get to me, and it's gotten to me so badly. I want to kill.
Yes. All righty. We're going to continue on with more dreams from Tracy to watch the theme of today. And it's titled Baby Crossing. I arrive across the street from the house I'm going to. I'm waiting for a few people that I know to get out of their cars and cross the street with me. I notice that the traffic flowing along the street is acting kind of strange. There's cars stopping abruptly or swerving close to where I am. I look over across the street. There's a woman standing in the yard. Then I see there's a baby crawling across the street in a crosswalk. And I'm wondering, what in the world is going on? The baby gets to the side of the street where the woman is. She picks the baby up and walks it over to my side of the street and puts it down, and then leaves back to where she started without the baby, leaving it to crawl across the street by itself. And again, I see the cars stopping abruptly or swerving to avoid hitting this child crawling across the street. Oh, this is scary, Michael. I go across the street to have words with this woman. I'm appalled that she's having this baby crawl across the street. And she says, well, there's a crosswalk. And I say, well, that doesn't really matter. There's no way this baby should be crawling across a busy street. She tells me that it's none of my business. Apparently, she's the grandmother and she knows best. I tell her it's like child abuse, but she just won't have any of it. All righty, Michael, that's a good dream.
It doesn't need much translation, really, when you look at it on the surface. A woman puts a child in harm's way, and
Yeah.
everybody represents mom. And it's a grandmother in the dream. Now, there will be an exception. Say you get on great with your grandmother, then that would be different. But usually it's like anything that puts mother into the picture, like a stepmother, whatever, doesn't matter. But any woman in a dream can represent mom anyway. So here it's, again, issues with mom. Mom would put me in harm's way for no good reason. And that's clearly what this woman is doing in the dream. And of course, Tracy's in the healing journey for a few weeks now. So she's hit the point where it's starting to make sense to her why I need to work on issues around mom. Often when we start these things, a person is like, I don't really know that there's a big issue here. And then the dreams turn and they go dark like this. They go way darker than this even. And we can see, oh, wow, yeah, I forgot about this. Yeah, she did this and she did this. And these were her traits. And here's the reality of how we're impacted as children. A major trauma, a major event, we can understand can mess us up. But a small thing done repeatedly, a very small thing that you would go, oh, would you even notice that? But if it's done repeatedly, that's the same, carries the same weight as a major trauma. And so mom being this way, putting me in harm's way for no good reason, her disregarding my feelings, she always knows best. These are all things we can get from this dream. And her way was the only right way to do things. And so when you start hitting the nails on the head from a dream, you can see it in the reaction, the body language of the person who's doing the healing. It's like, oh, yeah, that and that and that. So this is the whole point of what we're doing here. And then the last part is, it's just sheer luck that I wasn't injured from some of mom's actions.
And you really think she wasn't?
Well, she managed to escape some things. Like she told her mom, actually based on a dream, that she knew that the pastor in her church was abusing young girls. And her mom was so offended with her saying that, she phoned the pastor and she wanted her 12-year-old daughter to meet with the pastor on her own so that they could duke it out. Now, she didn't. But she had to fight her so that she didn't have to meet this pastor. And then a year later, it came out that he was abusing young girls. And so that's part of the, like, it was just sheer luck that I wasn't injured by some of mom's actions. I mean, what I just shared is extreme, but this would have been throughout that person's life.
Wow. I find it interesting that the cars are stopping abruptly or swerving to avoid hitting. So there was a lot of things being done to help this child. Is that
Well,
what you're saying?
it's more that mom is relying on the good nature of other people or the vigilance of others so that I don't get hurt when it's her job. She's the
Yeah.
parent. It's her role.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, that's really crazy. I'm like at a loss for words to have a baby crawling across the street. That's just
I
crazy.
find it funny. We have to anonymize the people that are whose dreams are on the show so that Sandy doesn't phone up the parents afterwards.
Yeah, knock them sideways. Are you kidding me? And it's none of my business that you're letting that kid crawl across the street. That's just crazy. Okay, we're going to move on because the next dream is long and we've broken it into parts and it looks like a really good dream. And the title of it is Healing. And once again, it's from Tracy. I go to leave this house in a village, and there are some kids that can't come out of the house. They have to stay in. But they follow me to the door, and some of them I can tell really want to cross that threshold. The older ones, 8 to 9-year-olds, remind me that they can't. In my mind, I'm wondering if they aren't really alive. like they didn't have a physical form that could come out into the day? Question mark. All righty. Let you go on from there, Michael.
So this is about aspects of Tracy that got crushed by her mom. Now, you can go, what about dad? Why doesn't dad come in? We work on one parent at a time. They're the anchor for a whole slew of issues. Most of us have major issues with one parent and none with the other, or very little with the other. Some people are unlucky and they have issues with both parents. But moms are way more important in our lives than dads. I can say that as a father, and it's hurtful, but it's true. So we will often see moms being the ones that dreams focus on, saying, you got to fix this. And so aspects of her got crushed by mom. And that's quite interesting. So what are they? And why are they coming up now? Because she's in this healing course around issues with her mom. And this part of the dream is all about state of mind, or this dream itself is all about state of mind, because they're non-physical. Because she says, I wonder if they're even alive, you know? And she said, like, they didn't have any physical form. So these are going to be thoughts, or in my mind, I am wondering about these things. And now state of mind is everything. If you want to heal yourself, you need to address your state of mind, because that's where the disease resides. If you have a physical issue, yes, you can work on the physical body, but you have to address what disease in your mind allows the disease in your body.
And what about leaving the house?
Well, it's more like these aspects of me aren't allowed to cross the threshold. So I have to hold back aspects of me from childhood. Like she says, the older one was 8 to 9. So we know it's up until that age, or at least 8 to 9 and younger. I have been trained to hold myself back because I needed to in order to survive.
Wow, that's okay. Sad. We're going to continue. A lot more to the dream. Then I'm not sure if I go back into this house or into another house, and upstairs there's an old man, and there's something different about him. I don't really know how to describe. He's smallish and has leathery skin. Talking with him, he sounds like he's lost his marbles, and I know he's physically sick as well. He puts on a cloak, hood not up, and takes me by the hand.
This is actually a good dream. You like where it goes in the end. There's some horrible stuff in it, of course, but it reveals something about Tracy, a special healing ability that she has that is amazing. And anyway, so this little piece, he's lost his marbles. That's another reference to the mind again, an inability to converse or bring something coherent across the threshold. So we can see the like continued theme from the start. The man will become even more interesting, but he takes her by the hand. This is a reference to how to hands-on healing. So we expect this dream to give further detail on Tracy's healing ability. And here's the thing, we talk about gifts all the time. We go, this person has a healing ability, this person has a channeling ability, this person has a counseling ability, but they're just buckets for the gifts. When it comes to your particular gift, there's an incredible amount of nuance around how you're meant to use that gift, who you're meant to use it on, and all sorts of things like that. So this dream is wonderful in that it shows how it's going to be used. We have that coming up later. But the old man upstairs is like a spiritually wise man who has been forgotten. The upstairs is spiritual. That's our higher aspect. But the man represents healing because healing is done through the masculine energy. And him being physically sick tees us up, but clearly backs up the hands reference to healing that we also see in the dream right there.
Why is he smallish and has leathery skin?
So he's small because it's bringing her back to childhood. Like we start with children at the start. So an inability to express something from childhood. Leathery, I have no idea.
Okay, it's all good. It's interesting. All right, we're going to continue. We go out of the house and out of the village towards the river. We have to cross this river, and it doesn't seem like there is any way across. He tells me to close my eyes, and next thing I know, we're on the other side where the city is. We don't really go into the city yet. We find a grassy spot and sit. I'm thinking of a teen I know who is in the hospital in the city. She is very ill.
All right,
All right,
so
Michael.
you can look up these symbols if you download the dictionary I was talking about earlier, dream-analysis.com. Just download the dictionary. And hospital is about how state of mind, healing for your state of mind affects your health. And so it fits in with what we already suspect this dream is about. And she's thinking of a teen who's in this hospital in the city, and city represents the mind. So it's like, this is me. Obviously, it's not anybody else. Everything in a dream is you. So this is me in my teenage years, and the girl there is very ill. So something needs to be done to address that. But what about the crossing the river? It's about accessing her spiritual gifts. Water symbols in dreams are all of us about spirituality, rivers, lakes, oceans, and so on. Even a swimming pool, a canal, they're all about your spiritual side. And so crossing the river is about accessing it. So how does she access this special healing gift that she has? Because remember, she's been led by the hand by this healing symbol. And the answer is given in the dream. She closes her eyes to get to the other side. So she has to kind of get into a meditative state and works through the heart because she ends up sitting in a grassy space. But anyway, it's cool.
That is really cool. I like where this is going. Okay, we're going to continue on. He once again holds my hand and we close our eyes and he guides me inside of his body. He shows me all of the places where the organs are, and they all have these controls with associated numbers. He shows me how to change the numbers on the controls, thereby healing that associated organ or body system. We go all throughout the body changing the controls. We never set any of them all the way back to the optimal setting, and he warns never to go too far in that direction. I am amazed.
I'm amazed too. This is an amazing dream now, isn't it? She's shown
Yes.
directly in her dream how to use the gift that she has. She can go into somebody's body and heal issues. It's also very interesting that he says never to heal to 100%. And this is something you and I know about directly, Sandy. Certain organs in the body have ranges, and healing is done to get the organ into a particular range. For healthy living, you don't need 100%. For instance, the middle band of the pancreas ranges from 53% to somewhere around 84%. But once your pancreas is in that range, you won't have diabetes, for instance. So we don't need to get to the 100% because most people aren't at it anyway. A second point here is that it's very hard to visualize healing someone to 100% because you're not going to believe that somebody is going to get 100% fixed. Now, if you're working for a long time in a field, then you can. But in the beginning, it's like, if I said to you, could you imagine that you could be $1 million richer by the end of next week? You would be like, no way. And that'll never happen in your reality because you don't believe it. But if I said, do you think you could be $10 richer by the end of next week? You go like, yeah, like that's more feasible. And so it's true with us in our mind. We have to believe in what we are doing. And that would include the healing work that she's doing on the person. So she wouldn't believe that somebody could be healed to 100% or that she could do it. But you will believe that you can nudge them in their healing towards the optimum. And she's to do that in her mind. That's how it's all going to work. It's really nicely well laid out in the dream.
That is amazing. And so she's going in and working on his body. He's showing her all this stuff. That is so cool. We got to continue on. I'm like getting real excited now. Okay, here we go. We come out and back to the grassy spot where we're sitting in. I'm excited about the prospect of healing the teen in the hospital. When I open my eyes, the man in front of me is almost unrecognizable. Still older, but now tall and fit, vibrant, with a vitality he hadn't had before. I'm even more excited about what this could mean for the girl in the hospital. I want to race there, but he has to calm me down and walk more slowly. Wow, Michael, I wondered if he was going to be healed. This is so cool. Go on.
Okay, the man is healed. This is the perfect demonstration of the gift. But then she immediately wants to use it on herself because she's the girl in the hospital, of course. And he tells her to calm down, to walk slowly. I love that. That's just the same as don't peg things to 100%. The healing journey is a path. It's like it takes time. It's not like just, hey, do it, we're done. So you have to walk towards the healing state. You can ask me questions if you have them. But I really love how this dream turned around.
I do too. It's really cool. What an amazing gift. Anyways, there's more to the dream and we got more going on, so I want to hear. So here we go. When we get just outside the hospital, I see the girl and she is out for a walk with a nurse. She has crocheted white blanket wrapped around her and tied over her shoulders so it's almost like a dress. She looks sullen and there's almost no light left in her eyes. Michael, I'm excited. Just can't wait to see what she does with this girl in the dream. Alrighty,
Even
what do
that
you have to
last
say?
bit, sullen with no light left in her eyes. So I asked Tracy if being sullen and almost no light left behind her eyes applied to her. And she said, oh, yes, as a teenager, not so much anymore. So again, she's working on the issues around mom. She's healing them and discovering her healing gift as well in the process. The crocheted white blanket means she's hard on herself. That's what white in a dream represents. White, when it's on its own, it's not a good color to see. And it's been used as a blanket, so it's protection. So that's kind of sad to really see that type of thing, being hard on myself as my protection. Here's how that works. We've probably said it before. If I get home and mom's going to beat me up about something that I didn't do, I'm going to try and anticipate what I should be doing in order to avoid that chastising. And so eventually I end up berating myself for getting it wrong or berating myself in advance to try figure out what it is I need to do. And I blame myself rather than the person who's hard on me. And so that's what we end up doing. That's what this kind of symbol represents in a dream. So it's really sad. We don't always dive into what's behind it. But anyway, so we know she's hard on herself and that needs to be removed. She says tied. Now we're bringing her through cutting the ties that bind with mom. When we do that, we see references to ropes, leashes, and ties all over dreams. And that's good. We want to see those references because then we know the process is working. But she's not there yet. She's not ready to finish just yet. Just like the healer in the dream said, take your time. We need to get closer. But clearly the young girl in the dream is not ready to leave the hospital because of the way she's depicted. You wouldn't expect to just show up and take her out. Hey, you're healed. Come on, let's go. Anyway, next piece.
Well, I find it very interesting that they're really going into details here about taking it slow, that it's a journey, and that healing is a journey, and learning your gift is a journey. I love that. So we're going to dive into the next part. The man tells the nurse to tell the girl's mother he will be in to sit with her shortly. I'm thinking, why would you go be with her mother? We've got to go into the girl's body and heal her, but he won't oblige me.
Mistake number one, not listening to your guides. but bingo, a direct connection to mom while cutting the ties that bind with mom because a mother shows up in the dream. And this is an issue we often run into. Dreams show that healing work needs to be done on a particular parent, in this case mom, but the client doesn't understand why and sometimes pushes against us. Now, Tracy's not pushing against us, but the connection is still not made. To heal an issue within yourself, you don't aim at the issues, even if it is physical. Instead, you aim at the trauma that resulted in the issue. You aim at the person who caused the trauma. Our parents agreed to be anchor points, to be the targets for us on our healing path, to even give us a healing path. And so we need to aim healing journeys at that parent, at that anchor point. And people here think the earth plane is horrific. The pain and the suffering is crazy, and it is. And people ask, why is pain necessary? Like we said at the start of the show. But we are looking at things backwards. When I channel on this, I'm told that the trauma experienced here is only minimally transferred to the soul. And this is by design, not an accident that the earth life does not screw us up in the spirit world. But we bring traumas here that we already have. They're not new. The pain we experience here, the separation of part of ourselves, is also done by design to allow us to see and heal an aspect that is already pained in the spirit world. So the big traumas in your life, you already own that pain. This world just puts them into sharp focus. So even if you do nothing to heal that pain, you won't have added to your pain in the spirit world because you already had it there. Anyway, back to the dream. The way for Tracy to heal her pain is to focus on mom. She's already doing that with us, but she's not in agreement because we see in the dream she wants to jump straight to the teenage girl.
And go heal her the way that she's learning. Okay, so we'll continue on. I decide I'm going to do it myself. I sit down and do as I had been shown, but when I arrive inside of her body, it looks different. There is a group of people wearing black and carrying instruments, and they're blocking the controls. I hear one of them saying Something like the band's all here, and they start playing and walking like an informal marching band. They are playing a Dixieland version of When the Saints Go Marching In. I am transported back out of her body. I go into the hospital to find that she has died. Ah,
See?
Michael.
I knew you'd
Ah,
love that bit, Sandy.
no.
So the marching band are her guides. She's a channel, and they're telling her to stop. They're wearing black, so fears need to be addressed. She has fears of expressing herself. She said, I suppress my leadership ability. Nobody would ever know that I have it. And we see leadership with it being a group. And then she also says, I don't like to share how I feel, and I feel invisible. This is what needs to be addressed. That's the big stuff, not the body.
Very interesting. But she died. What happens when she dies, Michael?
Well, that's already happened,
Oh,
so issues with mom at that age. So she's moved up the years a little bit. So the teenager here have caused aspects of me to die off. Now, they're not really dead. We're going to fix them, but dreams show it this way.
oh, got it. Okay. All right. Next part. Next thing I know, I'm in a movie theater and the credits are starting to roll alongside the moral of the story clips. People are getting up and leaving the theater. That's not good. I'm still watching intently as it's shown how any ailment can be healed in the body, but the state of mind is something each of us ultimately has to do for ourselves. When someone allows emotions like fear, guilt, shame to take over, there's nothing anyone else can do to save them.
Isn't
Wow, and that's in her dream.
isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
Nothing needs to be added to that. This is the point. The like just pure wisdom coming out of the dream.
Wow. But leaving the theater, isn't that kind of a sign of getting out of life?
No, it's about bringing your gifts to the outside world.
Excellent. Okay. As I leave the theater, I notice the sky seems bluer than I can ever remember, and the sun is shining with more intensity. I walk back down to the river and I see that now there is some sort of structure that you can use to walk across to the other side. It's not straight like a bridge, it's kind of a zigzag across. There's a group of teenage boys, 16 to 18-year-olds, lurking around the edges of the river. I get the feeling there's something strange about them and they can't cross alone. They have to be invited across. And when they see me, though, they don't even bother. Ooh,
All
what's
right.
that?
I see us running out of time, but this is another age in her life that needs addressing. She didn't feel welcomed by mom, and this is why the not invited thing is there. I need to be invited across. And this resulted in her clinging to a masculine way of living, or living in her head. It would be another way to put it.
Wow. Okay, I'll continue on and we'll get through this fast. When I get almost to the other side, I see a mother in the water and her small child, 3 years maybe, is clinging to a pylon. She is trying to teach her to swim. A little ways over, there's a group of boys, 10 to 11-year-olds, and the bigger one has a smaller one and is dunking him under the water. I jump off the walkway smiling. I go over to the little girl. I twirl in the water and splash a little, telling her this is so much fun. Do you want to come swim with me? She lights up and kind of jumps into the water towards me. I grab her, spinning her around, saying, Wee! Her mother is smiling now too, and as I have her daughter trying to swim over to her, she mouths, Thank you.
This is great. We see the clinging to the masculine is done out of fear, and we can see that it started at age 3. This is so common. I even have that in my book from 2007. And it's connected to mom because we have a mother-daughter relationship here. That's about her. And the pylon is the symbol for the masculine here. And that's what the little girl is clinging to. But in the dream, Tracy's undoing that. The mom in the dream is playing a positive role, creating the space for Tracy to heal the relationship between her and her mom. So super, super good. And then we have the boys who are 10 to 11 doing what they're doing. And I asked her about that, like putting it to her directly. And she said, yeah, I punished myself recklessly. I was unkind to myself at that age. And that's like basically her in her head punishing herself. Now we have our last bit of the dream.
All righty. Then I go over to the boys and grab the biggest one and duck him under the water. He lets go of the smaller one, who seems to be relieved and enjoying seeing this one ducked under himself. When he comes back up, he just gives me a look like, I'm sorry, I won't do that again.
So this is another result in the dream. She fixes the issue. Her masculine side apologizes and gets in line. And there we have it. That's the whole dream. So it's taking you on a journey itself. But I love how clearly the dream shows how healing can be affected by her special skill to close her eyes, meditate, and get into that state where she enters somebody's body and affects the healing. But in addition to doing that, she has to help the person address their state of mind before the healing can take place. It's a wonderful, wonderful dream.
It's an amazing dream. What an incredible gift. And to see that coming out of her doing the work that she's doing. And is she almost done, or is she still in the middle of cutting the ties? Because this is still showing areas that she needs to work on.
Definitely still in the middle.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. I don't even know if we're going to get to Nicole. So I hope everybody enjoyed this, and I hope you have a fabulous week.
See you all next week.